During a press conference at the Kyiv Press Center on the afternoon of Sunday, April 9, spokesman for the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine Brigadier General Alexei Hromov said that Russian troops were launching a large force of paratroopers entered the battlefield of Bakhmut. However, the Russian troops could not advance and even had to flee before the weapons of war provided by the United States, Germany, Poland and other partners. Along with the German tanks, the Polish AHS Krab cannon tank is terrorizing the Russians. He emphasized that 13 Russian artillery systems were destroyed in the last 24 hours by Polish AHS Krab artillery tanks. Newsweek had a report titled "Video Shows Ukraine's AHS Krab howitzers laying waste to Russian targets," which means video showing Ukrainian AHS Krab artillery tanks hitting Russian targets. The Ukrainian military has shared footage of the AHS Krab self-propelled howitzer being used on the front lines against Russian forces. "Our soldiers quickly mastered Western equipment," the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine said. Warsaw sent 18 Krab self-propelled howitzers to Ukraine in May 2022. The Ukrainian military has been using these artillery systems since the summer of 2022. The Krab self-propelled howitzer has performed well in both aiming speed and range. "We have studied the resources and capabilities of these machines and are providing manufacturers with suggestions for improvement." The footage shows Ukrainian servicemen loading and firing the cannon, as well as interviews with its operators in the field. On June 9, 2022, Ukraine's Defense Minister Alexei Reznikov said he was "delighted" to be informed that AHS Krab units are ready to carry out combat missions on the front lines. The 155 LY Crawler Krab self-propelled howitzer has a maximum range of about 25 miles or 40 kilometers with a crew of 5. Weighing around 48 tons, it is designed to kill and destroy, according to Polish manufacturer Huta Stalowa. The defense manufacturer added that the Krab self-propelled howitzer is mainly used against artillery batteries, critical military infrastructure, mechanized units, and parked aircraft. Deck landing. According to Military Service Army Technology, its main weapon is a 155 mm main gun, with a rate of fire of 3 shots every 10 seconds. Its shells are compatible with standard NATO ammunition. The General Staff on Sunday said that Russian forces had launched 4 missiles and 40 airstrikes on Ukrainian territory in the past 24 hours. Moscow's forces are focusing their efforts on the areas around the settlements of Lyman, Bakhmut, Avdiivka and Mariinka of Donetsk, the General Staff said. Ukrainian troops repelled more than 50 attacks in the area. These areas. On Sunday, Ukrainian authorities said a father and his daughter were killed in the southeastern city of Zaporizhia, after the Kremlin's forces launched attacks. Anatoly Kurtev, secretary of the Zaporizhia City Council, wrote on Telegram that the mother had been hospitalized following a Russian missile attack on the city. "We send our sincere condolences to the loved ones of the deceased husband and girl, and wish the injured mother a speedy recovery," Kurtev wrote. The General Staff said Moscow's forces continued to fight in vain with Kyiv's fighters in the city of Bakhmut. Newsweek has reached out to the Russian Defense Ministry for comment via email. During a press conference at the Kyiv Press Center on the afternoon of Sunday, April 9, Brigadier General Alexei Hromov said that in the past 24 hours, 470 Russian soldiers have been removed from combat, along with 4 armored vehicles and 13 artillery systems. Overall, from February 24, 2022 to April 9, the armed forces of Ukraine eliminated about 178,150 Russian troops from the battle. Total combat losses of the enemy included 3,636 tanks, 7,024 armored vehicles, 2,740 artillery systems, 533 mass-launched missile systems, 282 air defense systems, 307 aircraft, 292 helicopters, 2,312 aircraft. Pilots, 911 cruise missiles, 18 warships, 5,602 troop and fuel transport vehicles, and 309 special equipment units. 2. The Pentagon and the U.S. Department of Justice investigate the leak of classified documents on Ukraine. Both the Pentagon and the U.S. Department of Justice are investigating the leak of a new intelligence document ostensibly from the United States, following the leak that was posted on social media in recent weeks. The investigation comes as new documents surfaced on Friday covering everything from U.S. support to Ukraine to information on key U.S. allies, broadening the fallout from the leak. Already alarming. The Pentagon said Thursday that it was looking into the matter as the reports emerged. Additional leaked documents that open-source intelligence researchers say appeared Friday appear to have been posted online in the past few weeks. The documents appear to contain classified information on a wide range of topics, including Wagner mercenary group operations in Africa, Israel's path to delivering deadly weapons to Ukraine, intelligence on the United Arab Emirates' relationship with Russia. South Korea is concerned about supplying ammunition to the U.S. for use in Ukraine. CNN cannot verify independently whether the documents have been altered or not. But they are similar to a series of classified documents about Ukraine that have circulated online in recent weeks, which U.S. officials on Friday morning confirmed to CNN as authentic. Like those documents, Friday's discovery were photographs of printed, wrinkled documents. All of them carry secret markings, some top secret, the highest classification level. They all appear to have been manufactured between mid-February and early March. It's unclear who was behind the leaks and where exactly they originated. The Department of Defense is actively looking into the matter and has officially forwarded the file to the Department of Justice for investigation, said Pentagon Deputy Press Secretary Sabrina Singh. A Justice Department spokesman told CNN the department was in contact with the Department of Defense regarding this matter and has begun an investigation, but declined to comment further. Mikhailo Podolyak, an advisor to the head of the Office of the President of Ukraine, said on his Telegram channel that he believes Russia is behind the purported leak. Podolyak said the documents released were dishonest, had nothing to do with Ukraine's real plans, and were based on a large amount of fictitious information. Images of several documents, including an estimate of Russian casualties and a list of Western weapons systems available to Ukraine, were posted to the social media platform Discord in early March, according to the photograph. Screen of posts reviewed by CNN. 3. Ukraine issues warning about new modified Russian FAB-500 aerial bombs. Newsweek has an article titled Ukraine issues warning about new modified Russian FAB-500 aerial bombs, which means Ukraine issues warning about new modified Russian FAB-500 aerial bombs. Russia's innovative FAB-500 aerial bomb. Ukraine on Saturday issued a warning of a new threat from the Russian military as it looks to launch a new counteroffensive to retake key areas in the coming months. The warning comes more than a year after Russian President Vladimir Putin launched a special military operation against Ukraine in February last year. The Kremlin's military leaders initially hoped for a quick victory over Ukraine, which at the time was believed to have a smaller and weaker army. However, a stronger-than-expected Ukrainian defense effort, supported by weapons supplied by key allies, including the United States, has stymied Russia's military interests. The Russian invasion has stalled throughout the winter, and Ukraine's military leaders have in recent weeks indicated they may be moving toward launching a new counteroffensive, though few details are known. Including which areas will be specifically attacked, has not yet been made public. Ukrainian military leaders are now warning that Russian forces are using modified FAB-500 aerial bombs to attack areas near the front lines. The spokesman for the Ukrainian Air Force, Colonel Yuri Iynat, warned that the Russian military had converted the FAB-500 high-explosive aviation bomb into a cruise missile. According to a report from Ukrainska Pravda, a Ukrainian online newspaper, they are using these bombs from a distance that cannot be reached by the Ukrainian air defenses. Iynat added that Ukraine believes Russia may be preparing to ramp up production of these bombs, which will be equipped with wings and GPS navigation. Mykola Oshchuk, commander of the Air Force of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, also warned about the use of such bombs. The enemy is increasingly using 500 kilograms guided air bombs along the entire front line. There are signs of preparation for the mass use of 1,500 kilograms KAB bombs, Oleshchuk warned in a Telegram post on Saturday. Russian planes do not enter our air defense zone, they attack from afar on frontline cities and near the front lines. The peaceful inhabitants of the northern, southern and eastern regions are suffering. Oleshchuk commented that the F-16 fighter jets will help Ukraine fight these bombs more effectively. Ukraine has urged Western allies, including the United States, to provide it with more powerful fighter jets to bolster defense efforts. The war-torn country has specifically promoted the F-16 Fighting Falcon jets. However, the Biden administration has so far refused to provide them to Ukraine. The F-16 is equipped with air-to-air missiles with a range of up to 180 kilometers. This will make it possible to drive enemy aircraft away from our borders and lines, which will reduce the possibility of using guided bombs and other air-launched weapons, Olszczuk said. Newsweek has reached out to the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense for comment via email. Fourth, the American Institute for the Study of War notes that leaked U.S. documents have sparked fear in the Russian pro-war blogging community. Newsweek has a report titled, "Leaked U.S. Documents Spark Fear in Russian Pro-War Blogging Community," ISW, which translates to American Institute for the Study of War, considers that leaked U.S. documents incite fear in the pro-war blogging community of Russia. According to the Institute for the Study of War, or ISW, pro-war bloggers have reacted to the leak of what are believed to be secret U.S. military documents referring to a possible counterattack out of Ukraine, with anxieties stemming from speculation. The US-based think tank said on Friday that several prominent Russian bloggers have asserted that there is a possibility that the published documents are disinformation that was intentionally leaked to cause confusion. Confusion for the Russian army. There is growing speculation that the Ukrainian military will launch a counteroffensive in the coming months to retake territory from the invading Russian forces. The Russian military has spent the past few months trying to capture the Ukrainian city of Bakhmut, with limited success. However, according to a recent British intelligence report, Moscow has gained some momentum in recent days. It comes after a second set of supposedly secret documents, which mentioned not only Ukraine but also U.S. relations with China and other Middle Eastern powers, were posted on the 4chan message board. On Friday, the first set of documents appeared on social media, including Telegram and Twitter, but appeared to have been modified, the New York Times reported on Thursday. The paper added that this could indicate an attempt by Moscow to disinformation, in what it described as a significant breach of U.S. intelligence in an effort to support the United States. Support Ukraine. The documents included in the leak also show a discussion of the training, weapons, and strike capabilities of various Ukrainian military units. Meanwhile, in its report, the ISW wrote that versions of these leaked documents are clearly shown to have been modified to reduce reported Russian losses and inflate human Ukrainian casualties, went viral on Russian social media. Details of Ukraine's spending on HIMARS ammunition, which Kyiv has used to severe consequences for Russia since it was first provided by the US last June, were also included in the articles. On Friday, the office of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky dismissed the documents as photo manipulation and fake leaks. It is not yet known who published the documents online, and their authenticity has not been independently verified by Newsweek. In an earlier statement sent to Newsweek, Sabrina Singh, deputy press secretary at the Pentagon, said, "We are aware of reports of social media posts and are reviewing them by the Department of Defense." Problem. Although the ISW refuses to draw conclusions about the authenticity of the leaked articles, it claims that they have caused speculative anxiety among Russian military bloggers, emphasizing fear of potential Ukrainian counterattacks is underway. One blogger claimed that the leak of documents could be part of a larger Ukrainian campaign to mislead Russian forces into a counterattack, the ISW wrote. Another Russian blogger noted that there is a historical precedent for the military to disseminate false planning information before initiating surprise attacks. Newsweek has reached out to the Russian and Ukrainian defense ministries for comment via email. 5. Russia attacked Ukraine's power grid with more than 1,200 missiles and drones, energy company says. Russian forces used more than 1,200 missiles and drones to attack the system Ukraine's energy, according to a statement from the Ukrainian energy company Ukrenergo. Ukrenergo did not specify a specific time period in its statement. Since October, Moscow's forces have launched hundreds of rockets and drones at energy infrastructure far from the front lines, disrupting the supply of electricity, heat and water to thousands of people. Million people. Of the 1,200 missiles, 250 hit Ukrenergo sites, damaging 43% of Ukraine's main power grid. All thermal and hydroelectric power plants suffer varying degrees of damage. During the coldest 6 months of the year, the enemy tried to take away our energy and heat by destroying energy infrastructure, Ukrenergo said. The statement cited estimates by the World Bank and the United Nations Development Programme that said the cost of emergency repairs to the power grid would amount to more than $1 billion. Ukrenergo says it has received almost 500 replacement devices and more will be manufactured and sent to Ukraine. 6. British defence officials say the operation to destroy Ukraine's energy infrastructure may have failed. The UK's Ministry of Defence said in an update on Saturday that Russia's campaign to destroy Ukraine's energy infrastructure likely has failed. Russia has been conducting long-range attacks on Ukraine's power grid since October 2022. The relentless attack on the power grid has deprived millions of people of electricity, heat, water and other essential services across the country. Across the country as temperatures dropped, but as CNN previously reported, the Ukrainian people persevered. According to the United Nations, Russia's attacks violate international humanitarian law, which prohibits attacks on civilians and civilian infrastructure. Russia's campaign to seriously degrade Ukraine's unified energy system, or UES for short, during the winter of 2022 to 2023 may have failed, the UK Ministry of Defence said in a statement. According to the statement, large-scale attacks on Ukraine's energy infrastructure have become rare since early March this year. The statement continued, smaller-scale attacks continue, but will most likely have much less impact on UES. Ukrainian companies are continuing to source replacement transformers and other key components, but the transportation and installation of these parts presents a major logistical challenge. According to the UK Department of Defence, Ukraine's energy situation is likely to improve as the weather gets warmer, and planning and preparing for next winter may have begun. 7. Russia triples contracts for prisoners of war in Ukraine. Russian prisoners currently under contract with the Russian Defense Ministry to fight in Ukraine will have to go to war for a long time. According to Russian prisoner rights activist Olga Romanova, this suggests that Russian President Vladimir Putin's war could drag on for another year. Romanova, director of a Russian prisoners' rights group called Russia Behind Bars, wrote on Telegram on Saturday that the Defense Ministry has been recruiting prisoners to fight in Ukraine since February. The recruits will sign a contract with the ministry to fight for 6 months, but this period has now been extended to 18 months, Romanova said, citing reports from the Sverdlovsk and Yaroslavl regions in Russia. Changes in recruiting prisoners to fight. As of February, this recruitment is mainly done by the Ministry of Defense. Reports from 2 regions, Sverdlovsk and Yaroslavl, show that the Ministry of Defense began to contract prisoners not for 6 months as before, but for 18. That is, they also expect the war to last for a few days. Throughout next year, 2024, the activist wrote on Telegram. Newsweek was unable to independently verify whether the term of the contract was extended. This is Russia's forever war, Francis Scar, a BBC Monitor journalist, wrote on Twitter on Saturday. Putin launched his special military operation in Ukraine last February, with confidence that his country would win a quick victory over its Eastern European neighbor. However, Ukraine responded with a stronger-than-expected defensive effort, largely aided by Western aid that stymied Russia's military goals and limited its advance. More than a year has passed since the invasion, with fighting still concentrated in Ukraine's easternmost regions, with analysts suggesting that Russia's winter offensive efforts have largely failed. Although the fighting initially spread throughout major Ukrainian cities, including Kyiv, Odessa, Kherson and most recently in Bakhmut, the Russian military experienced a number of setbacks including lack of ammunition and leadership, as well as lack of troops. However, the Russian military was supported by the Kremlin-backed Wagner Group, a paramilitary unit founded by Yevgeny Prigozhin, an ally of Putin. Prigozhin announced last month that more than 5,000 former prisoners have been released since last summer, after completing a contract with the group, according to independent news site Meduza. Meanwhile, more than 50,000 prisoners were recruited by the Wagner Group during the winter of 2022, according to Russia Behind Bars. In February, Prigozhin said that the Wagner Corporation was no longer recruiting Russian prisoners to fight in the war. The recruitment of prisoners by the private military company Wagner has completely ceased, he told Live 24 news agency at the time. We are currently fulfilling all of our obligations to the people who work for us. A new wave of prisoner recruitment was also reported last month by the Ukrainian Defense Ministry and reported by Russia behind bars. The Ministry of Defense reported that female prisoners had been put on a train to fight in the Donetsk region. According to the intelligence service of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine, amid the great loss of personnel in the war, the enemy used additional sources of manpower instead. Last week, a train with first-class carriages was used to transport people. Prisoner transfers were recorded towards the Donetsk region. One of the wagons holds female prisoners. The recruitment comes amid a high reported casualty rate in the Russian military. In March, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said more than 1,100 Russian soldiers had been killed in the city of Bakhmut in less than a week. That same month, Ukrainian military spokesman Alexander Stupin said that 1,090 Russian fighters had died in what some say could be the deadliest day for Russia since the war began.